This is my voice without testosterone injections. This is my voice 3 weeks on testosterone. This is my voice 2 months on testosterone injections. This is my voice 5 months on testosterone injections. This is my voice 11 months on testosterone. I've been on testosterone a little over 3 months, so this is my 6 month on testosterone video. So this is my 9 months on testosterone video update. It's my 1 year on testosterone Manniversary. A lot can change in a year. Though it's only taken a year to change my outside appearance, I've lived my whole life feeling trapped in a body that wasn't mine. Now, I don't recall how old I was when I realized that I was a boy. I know I was in California at the time, so I was under the age of 8. I remember being in our Wasco apartment praying to God to change me into a boy, because I knew I was one. I just knew there had been a cosmic mistake. Some ass-headed angel fell asleep on the assembly line and shit got messed up. I just knew it, and therefore it stood to reason that God had to fix it since it was their mess up. In first grade, I'd gotten in a fight with a little boy. He'd been picking on me, so I was annoyed, but I ignored him, like Mama taught me to do. Then he started picking on my friends, so I punched him. And he started crying and then hit me, and I got mad, so I tackled him. And we proceeded to just beat the shit out of one another until the teacher pulled us apart and escorted us to the principal's office. We walked in looking like a hot mess, totally disheveled. Him with a bloody lip and me with my hair halfway out of my ponytail. We were breathing heavily and just glaring at one another. The teacher tattled on us to the principal, and he looked at us thoughtfully with his beady little eyes. I was sure I was never going to get a recess ever again. Just totally, they were done. I was convinced. His eyes went to the boy, and he angrily said, "Sit." Then he locked eyes with me, and his voice softened, and he said, "Honey, you can go." I was crazy confused, but I was like, "Hey, recess." So I turned to leave, but not before hearing him say, "You never hit a girl." And I felt sick when I heard that. Not because what he said was wrong. No, men should never hit women, and people just shouldn't hit people in general. But it's because I was a boy. And besides, I hit that little fucker first, so I should have gotten some acknowledgement for that. My childhood is full of memories like that. And each time something like that happened, it was like a cut to my heart. I couldn't have explained how I knew that my body was wrong. I couldn't explain why it felt like a prison that ensconced my being. And I couldn't explain what it felt like to know that everyone who saw me was never really seeing me. I just knew I wasn't right. My dad left when I was younger, and for a long time, a part of me wondered if he sensed that there was something wrong with me. Like, he knew I was broken and didn't even want to deal with it, so he left. And throughout most of my early years, I was afraid of rejection, because I thought it was a reflection of my defectiveness. In elementary and middle school, I would occasionally get mistaken for a boy, or people would tell me I acted like a boy, and each time that would thrill me. I saw what teenagers look like, and I dreaded what was going to happen to my body. It terrified me to grow older and change. I mean, I don't think any little girl is super psyched when they learn that once puberty hits, they're going to start bleeding from their vagina, but for me it was more than that. And while other little girls were probably excited to get breasts or become women, that prospect terrified me. I knew once I changed, no one would mistake me for a boy. I would forever be trapped in a woman's body. And on more than one occasion, I thought that I would rather die than have that happen. I grew up in the 80s and 90s in a tiny Christian farming community in the Midwest. It was not the best time or place to be different. In 4th grade, I learned what gay was. The kids had taken to using it as an insult on the playground, and I asked one of my classmates what it meant. She smiled knowingly and was all, "Hey, it's when a boy likes a boy and a girl likes a girl, and it's the worst thing you can be." And my stomach dropped to my feet when I heard that, because obviously I was gay. I mean, I liked girls, I had a big crush on one of my friends, and I assumed that all gay people must feel like the opposite gender. It just totally made sense. I didn't have any adult to ask, and if I did, given the era, I doubt they would know. I couldn't have known that gays and lesbians feel like the gender that they're born, and that is something I wouldn't find out for a long time. So from 4th grade on, I thought I was gay, and soon after that, I learned that Gay people were apparently all disgusting, died of AIDS, and went to hell. I didn't think things could get any worse, but they did. When I was 15, I saw an episode of 2020 about a group of people who had surgeries to change to become the opposite gender. Men became women, women became men. I remember watching it and feeling a tingling all over my body as these people described their experiences and feelings, and the thought came to me, maybe I'm not gay after all. Around that same time, I was taking a college-level abnormal psychology class, and we briefly talked about gender identity disorder. It was classified as a mental illness. Now, I can't remember my exact thoughts at the time, but if I had to summarize them, they were probably along the lines of, well, fuck me. And not too long after that, I decided to kill myself. I had taken to keeping a knife tucked away in the bathroom for when I decided to finally get up the nerve and kill myself. It was long and sharp. I wanted it readily available so that I couldn't change my mind when I went looking for it in the kitchen. I had accidentally cut my finger with it the year before. I hadn't even realized I had done it until I noticed that the fruit I was cutting had turned a crimson red. The knife had split my skin open and I didn't even feel it. I was hoping it would be like that again. The day I decided to die, Mom and Christine were leaving to go to the mall at Spencer, and I filled the tub while they readied themselves, and I knew it would be my last bath. I kissed Mom and Christine goodbye, and I knew it would be the last time I saw them. Then I sank into the tub, knife in hand, and I heard the door to the garage close, so I knew that Mom and Christine had left. I was going to slit my wrists, and I knew I had to do it correctly. It had to be deep, and the water was going to help me bleed out faster. I knew that in order to do more than a superficial cut, I would have to sever the blood vessels and cut deep into my tendons, maybe even down to the bone. Then I looked down at a naked body that wasn't mine, and that made what I was about to do so much easier. I steeled myself when there was a knock at the bathroom door. It was Christine, and she was borderline hysterical as her muffled voice said, "Rachel, don't do it." I hadn't even heard her come back in the house. Now, I had told her in the past that I wanted to die, and she'd sat up with me at nights while I cried about wanting to kill myself, and I think that weighed really heavily on her. And talking about this day in retrospect, Chrissy had said that I was acting really weird that morning, and that once she had gotten in the car, she was consumed with the feeling that something really, really awful was about to happen to me. And she told Mom she forgot something and ran back into the house. The minute she got to the bathroom door, she was seized with the knowledge of what I was planning to do. And through the door, she said I couldn't kill myself, and that if I did, she would kill herself, and then she made me promise I wouldn't do anything while she and Mom were gone. And I promised. When she left, I just started sobbing. My sister said that the whole trip to Spencer was miserable, and she ended up making Mom go home early, just so she could check to make sure that I was still alive. I wasn't home when she got back. I had gone into work early, because I knew if I'd stayed, I'd have broken my promise. We now know that transgendered Americans face an exceptionally high rate of attempted suicide, and we have no idea about how many actually succeed in their attempts. I was so lucky that I had a sister and friends to confide in who didn't judge me and tell me that I was sick and going to hell, but not everyone has that. Even now, as the whole bathroom debate rages, one just has to scroll through the comment section of an article to see how disgusted people are by us. And even now, I'm so lucky to be surrounded by so many amazing people who love me for me. But I can't help but think of the trans kid in the Midwest who hears the message that he's disgusting and sick. And I wonder if tonight he'll take his life and no one will ever notice because he's tired of being trapped in a body that isn't his. It took a long time for me to learn to love myself. I had to unlearn everything that I was taught, everything the world told me to be, everything I thought I knew and everything I thought I was. But I did it. I chose happiness. One of the things that has had a huge impact on me is being a hospice nurse. I've been doing hospice for around 10 years now. Being with those in those last months and moments of their life is such a profound thing. It affects you in a way that few things can. It reminds you daily about your mortality. It reminds you daily of the importance of love. It reminds you to do more than exist. It reminds you to live. Most of us caring for the terminally ill have heard people share their life's regrets at the end, and we can enumerate the most common ones we hear. Well, in 2013, a nurse named Bronnie Ware did just that. She released a fascinating study of the terminally ill patients that she was caring for. Bronnie decided to poll them in their last days in hopes to uncover any regrets that they had so that the living could learn from them. There was a commonality and theme to them, and there seemed to be 10 regrets that kept popping up, and these regrets aligned with what the rest of us in hospice and palliative care have heard our patients say. So I'm sharing with you the ones that have struck me the most from her study, and that have helped me shape the way I live. 1. I never pursued my dreams and aspirations. 2. I worked too much and never made time for my family. 3. I should have made more time for my friends. 4. I should have said I love you a lot more. 5. I regret not having the courage to live truthfully. 6. Happiness is a choice, and I wish I knew that earlier. By being with people on their journey to death, I learned how to live. From being with a mother when her baby takes his last breath, to holding the hand of a 104-year-old as life escapes her, death shaped me. Being a hospice nurse really made me examine my life, and it was one of the reasons I chose to move forward with being Alex. I could exist, or I could live. I wanted to live my life fully, and I want to honor my truths and be authentic. I want to love others and be loved. Transitioning has not been easy. I've had many awful experiences that stem from people's ignorances and hates. But I've had far more people love me, and that's what life's about. Love connects us. It unites us. It's the only thing that can heal us. So I choose to live a life of love. A lot can change in a year. In a year, you can lose someone you love to death. And in a year, you can become a parent to a beautiful child. In a year, your world can be turned upside down by an awful accident. In a year, you can fall in love. In a year, you can be diagnosed with a horrible disease. In a year, a reality TV billionaire can become the frontrunner on a political ticket. And in a year, you can become a whole person. We can exist or we can live. And this year, I chose to live. And I choose love.